Hello, this is Mad Cat, and welcome to another edition of Boobs and Dicks Smash the Matriarchy. Let's go ahead and start off with that I'm the Dicks.
And I'm Boobs. Hey!
What? Not like I've never seen
I'm
them.
Boobs. What's up?
I haven't seen them before. All right, and as you can see, I'm coming to you in HD now, and I know what you're thinking. We don't want to see more of you. We want to see more of the other one.
Send me a webcam.
Or better light bulbs.
Nah, my webcam is just shitty as fuck. I was looking at it earlier and there's just like lines going across it.
Oh, we don't see the lines, but no, what I did to improve my setting is I just spent $15 to get light bulbs in.
Yeah.
So a good light bulb can make a difference, especially if you get the right color.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so we've got a very amusing show today. So let me go ahead and just jump right into that.
Yeah, boy.
Either prepare to laugh or prepare to cry. That's what I say to all of my dates.
Both.
Lesbians want a church of their own, and the IRS approves.
What? The fuck?
All right, so this is on Forbes. So, I mean, this is not The Onion. This isn't a fake news. I mean, Forbes, yeah, mostly gets it right. So, the Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft might strike you as something you would find in The Onion. Let's just focus on that right now. Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft.
Nice.
They sent legal documents to the IRS listed as Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft. Any responses before we go? Huh?
Are children welcome?
Yes, actually.
Nice. What the fuck?
Rather than here on the Forbes tax blog, but it's the real deal. You can find it on Charity Navigator and GuideStar. The IRS recognizes it as a 501c3 organization and went the extra step of recognizing PCMW as a church, the most inevitable of all tax statutes is. So what this basically means is like a church, like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they get tax exemption status, that they're recognized as an official religion, a legitimate religion. And that's just one of the benefits they get is they don't have to pay taxes. And now, and I think Christians should be the most offended by this, the Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft is now on equal footing with you because they also get tax exemption status, which means that by the standards of the federal government, they are a legitimate religion. And I'm about to explain to you why you should be very scared by that.
Yeah.
The most exempt not only from income tax, but also the transparency that filing Form 990 creates. A church does not have to apply for exempt status, but it is a prudent step, particularly for an innovative organization like PCMW. My source indicates the approval process was reasonably quick and there was no pushback from the IRS.
Of course not.
To understand what's going on with PCMW, you need to be aware of the conflict that is going on between some radical feminists and the transgender community. It is long running. A recent manifestation occurred during the London Pride Parade. Anti-trans protesters, mostly made up of trans-exclusionary radical feminists, also known as TERFs, invaded this weekend's London Pride celebration, disrupting and eventually being allowed to lead the parade by officials. The article by Rose Domu takes the transgender side of the controversy in her report on the incident. That is what seems to be close to the consensus in progressive circles, framing the issues as one of discrimination against the oppressed minority. Ground zero of the controversy was probably the Michigan's Women's Festival. Michelle Goldberg's article in the New Yorker, What is a Woman, might be a good place to start if this 40-year war is new to you. If you want to dig into the RadFem side, there's a collection of essays, Female Erasure, What You Need to Know About Gender Politics, War on Women, the Female Sex, and Human Rights. This is a tax blog, so that's enough on the underlying controversy. By the way, some people consider TERF to be a slur. I don't know if there's a satisfactory substitute. That's like calling all men's right MGTOW. There are some within the men's movement that would be considered an insult to call someone a MGTOW. It took me a long time to come up with not conventionally tax compliant as a neutral way of describing tax protesters, but that term has not taken off, so I hesitate to even attempt with TERF. I will try CGRF for a start, but that probably won't come up often. So let's talk about who can join. Now let's take a quick look at their website. So this is what their website looks like. Look at their logo.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's disgusting.
Yes, it is a vagina. You can see the lips, you can see the inside. And
it doesn't even look like anything else at all. Like, is it supposed
it's a pussy.
Yeah, I feel like it's trying to be like a person at the same time, but it really just looks like a vagina.
No, it's just a vagina. That's
so
all
stupid.
it is.
Ugh, Jesus Christ.
So according to the website, all women and girls...
Wait, men aren't allowed to go?
What?
Men aren't allowed to go?
Nope.
Oh.
I'll get to that in just 1 second. Let me read this part here.
I don't know how to respond to this. Okay.
All women and girls are welcome to join the Pussy Church as congregants. We also need women who can serve Pussy Church in growing and strengthening our congregation. If you're able to offer your time, skills, money, or other resources in support of Pussy Church, please contact us. A woman is an adult female human. A girl is a minor female human. The Pussy Church serves women and girls only. Males are not permitted to participate regardless of how they identify. We expressly reject the concepts of gender identity, transgenderism, and gender as being meaningful to defining what a woman or girl is.
Wait. What?
So this author is focusing on the transgender part of it. Like if a man decides that he's a girl, they're not welcome. But the other key thing here is that it is anti-male, and it also discriminates against males, basically saying that this is a female-only space.
Uh-huh.
When we live in a world where having a male-only space is considered sexist, and we shouldn't do it because females should be included, such as the Boy Scouts of America should also include girls. even though they have the Girl Scouts.
Right. I don't fucking understand that shit either.
And funny enough, because they now allow girls in the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts are complaining because not that many girls are joining the Girl Scouts anymore. They're now just joining the Boy Scouts. It's like, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it too, apparently. Or I guess in this case, you can't have your pie hole and eat it too, like the Articles of Incorporation elaborate a little further with more exclusive requirements for the trustees. I believe the Articles of Incorporation is the things that you have to send as far as being a corporation to send to the IRS to get tax exemption status. So this is how they describe who can be a trustee and who can be able to vote. So we'll just go over the trustee position. So like a key position in the religious organization. A trustee position shall be open to all of those who possess the following qualification: being female at birth, a testimony to an experience of the new birth in lesbian feminism,
What?
evidence of a consistent lesbian life. So let's focus on those first three. Okay, so you have to be female at birth. You have to have a vagina, the whole woo-wah. A testimony to an experience of the new birth in lesbian feminism. So it's a requirement that you have to be a lesbian. So not only...
How are children lesbians? I don't understand.
Hold on. Not only do they not allow men, not only do they not allow transgender women, but they don't allow straight women. You have to be a lesbian. Either before, or you have to experience the new birth in lesbian feminism.
Oh my God.
And then evidence of a consistent lesbian life. What do you think that means?
You have to lick pussy every night and have a fucking timestamp on it.
Yeah, someone said they had a feeling that this was a sex cult. And right? I'm like, you know what? With that one right there, that's probably a good indication that the only way you can be a trustee of this organization is that you have to sleep with other members.
Yeah.
And that other people can watch you. That this is probably a sex cult. But what
I hope it ends up being one.
What concerns me is that they allow women and girls, which means that girls have to pledge that they're lesbians.
That's,
and while a requirement for this is that they have to be at least 18 years of age, if they're open about their sexuality, then how much exposure do little girls get to lesbian? Now, I understand some girls will identify as being a lesbian, you know, from an early age, either politically or, you know, that's just what they are. Some children do know their sexuality early on. I acknowledge that. But they don't need to be exposed to sex. My concern with this church is that they are going to be exposed to this. And the unfortunate part is that our culture does not fully recognize that a woman can rape a woman, much less a mother can rape a daughter.
True.
So more than likely, this church will engage in pedophilia. And I really don't like to throw around that word. I think it's thrown around way too much. But that's what my concern is with this church, is that they're going to engage in sex with minor females and use the excuse of religious freedom and probably get away with it because, well, it's just women touching girls. It's not like, it's a penis being inserted.
Yeah, which is ignorant.
Yeah, I mean, have you never heard of a strap-on?
True.
So, an indication of a willingness to contribute regularly to the financial support of the church of which she must be a member. So, basically, you're willing to give money to the church. That's probably true of any religion. Like, you can't be, like, a trustee of it. But then again, like, most, like, Catholic priests, I mean, they basically throw their entire lives into it. I mean, they're not really making money on the side. They take a vow of poverty. But I'm sure other churches, like non-Catholic Christian churches, if they do make money, they have to be willing to give a good portion of that to the church. So, right. Acceptance of the tenets of faith as set forth in The Lesbian Heresy by Sheila Jeffreys, Gin Ecology, the Meta-Ethics of Radical Feminism by Mary Daly, and Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde, and other texts as designated from time to time by the trustees. Having reached at least 18 years of age, having regularly attended services, agreement to being governed by the church as may be amended from time to time. So that's just to be a trustee, to be a top member of the organization. Voting, being female, being new birth, proving that you're a lesbian, I guess, by sleeping with the trustees. And
yeah, possibly.
Contribute, read the propaganda, being 18, and being governed by the church. So one less thing. The PCMW is open to all women and girls as defined by PCMW, but lesbian-led. Well, no, they have to be lesbians because they have to embrace being a lesbian feminist as well as prove that they're a lesbian. Much of the leadership of the Catholic Church is exclusively male and pledged to celibacy. In Protestant churches, you will find the Catholic Church.
Oh, Catholic. Okay. I thought you were still talking about the other one. I was like, wait, what?
In Protestant churches, you will find discussions about whether elders must be married men. So PCMW is open to all women and girls as defined by PCMW, but governance is entirely in the hands of lesbians. Yeah, I think you say it's open to all women and female, and maybe that's true, but then they state, voting. So if you want to be a member of the church but don't have the ability to vote or be a trustee, I guess then you could just be a straight woman in the church. But I'm sure that the church would still strongly encourage all women to be lesbians, whether to be a straight up lesbian or a political lesbian. That they're only gay for the fact that, they hate men, but they're not really lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
It invokes the structure of the 17th century Calvinism in New England, where you had to prove you were saved to qualify for full church membership. Depending on what state or country you're in, you could not have those sort of rules in an accounting firm, for example. There are laws about discrimination based on sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Even holding an exclusive meeting in a public venue can be an issue in some jurisdiction. There was a fight about that when RadFem 2013 was held in London. So a cynical bastard might think that this enterprise is a clever way to run around existing and propose anti-discrimination laws because religious liberty trumps those sort of things, when the Supreme Court recently reconfirmed in Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission. So, and that's a good point right there. I mean, so many of us agree that a bake shop shouldn't be required to go against their religious faith and cook a gay wedding cake, that it was their right to refuse that by freedom of religion versus being discriminatory against gays or the LGBT. And so I'm sure they're going to use the same sort of logic that we can be exclusive only to lesbian women, and any straight women, transgenders, or men are not allowed. And even though it's discriminatory, it's religious rights. This is going to be one of those things. It's like you can't have it both ways. I mean, yeah, they're being discriminatory, but it's their religious right now because the IRS recognizes them as a religion. And if we allow a baker not to bake a cake, even though it's discriminatory to gays, then they can be discriminatory and fall under religious freedom. Any thoughts on that? Vanessa? Oh, she doesn't have her headphones on. Oh, we'll have to tell her all of that again. She could have told me. So this just kind of goes into the legal side, and basically he says in this that, you know, it just kind of slipped through the cracks, which is certainly possible. And what the qualifications are for this. But, you know, he's saying that it just kind of fell through the cracks. But in all honesty, what I think happened is that, you know, they got this and the IRS didn't want to be accused of being sexist. And so they passed it without, and they probably looked at the full thing and it's like, yeah, we shouldn't allow this, but we're going to because we don't want anyone to think that we're against women or lesbians. We don't want to be seen as anti-LGBT. And you know that they would have done exactly that. That if they didn't get tax exemption status, they would have gone onto the media and said, oh, the IRS hates the LGBT or the LGB since they're TERFs. However, I don't know if they would have been that effective, and maybe the IRS is not aware of this, that TERFs is a minority within the feminist movement, that they are actually quite despised. I'm trying to think, who's that one woman that's kind of like the poster child? I want to say Gail Dines, but I don't think Gail Dines is who I'm thinking of. Maybe it is, but it's another woman, and she's like very big about being anti-transgenderism. Even though she's respected as a feminist and does talk, she's also very apparent with that. Welcome back, Vanessa.
Hey. Sorry, we have a guest.
So what I was saying is that it brought up the issue about the being basically transphobic. But the problem is that we have the Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission, and that it was proposed that freedom of religion can trump discriminatory laws. That while the baker who refused to make the gay wedding cake was technically discriminatory to the gays for not fulfilling their request for a gay wedding cake, even though he was willing to serve them other products. This is probably what this church is going to employ as to why they can be discriminatory, because now they're recognized as a religion by the federal government. So they can say that it's religious freedom, that they can be anti-straight woman, anti-transgender, and anti-male.
I'm going to put that as my religion on Facebook and see what people say. What'd you say?
What religion?
Whatever the religion they were calling themselves, I guess. Or just the church of the whatever the fuck is called.
Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft.
Yeah. Let me see if I can change it. I'm gonna go on my Facebook.
Well, and you know what I call this like the ultimate pussy pass, or the literal pussy pass. They literally are using their vagina to get a pass in the federal government.
Yeah.
To get tax exemption status.
Basically.
She took the application in and.
So, and then I was talking about the IRS, and you know, this person is basically saying, well, you know, it kind of fell through the cracks and all of that. And I don't think that's what happened. I think the IRS got this, looked at this, and it's like, yeah, this is discriminatory, but they were afraid to reject it. Because we live in a world now where if you say no to a lesbian, if you say no to a transgender person, if you say no to a black person, you can be accused of being discriminatory, even if it's within your rights to do so. And they said, oh, this is a group of feminists and lesbians, and if we say no to this, they'll go to the media and tell them that we're being sexist and homophobic to women and lesbians, that the IRS is discriminatory to them, despite every other reason that they have in the IRS has in their right to deny them. They're afraid of bad publicity. And I mean, how bad does it have to be that the IRS is afraid of bad publicity? I mean, they're the fucking IRS. No one likes the IRS, but then they would be even more fearful. So they probably just said, okay, we don't have a problem with this. Go ahead and have your church. Just don't call us, you know, sexist.
Yeah.
That's how bad this world is getting. When the IRS approves of pussy church that is discriminatory to women, to transgender people, and men. I'm starting to think we should have like a church that is all men. In fact, we could probably get the one from Married with Children called No Ma'am. What did that stand for again? Let me
Is that from that show?
Yeah.
Really? Because I knew a bunch of people who used to come into this restaurant that I worked at who would wear shirts that said that, and I always wondered what it meant or what it came from.
Married with Children. No, ma'am. Let's see if I can. The National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. Yes, we should have a no ma'am religion.
That would be perfect.
And that it has tax exemption status. Only men are allowed to be there, or you know, women can be there as well, but they cannot have a position of authority. But they also must prove their willingness to pleasure the male congregation, either by sleeping with each other or sleeping with the members. But we'll have to write that in a clever way that doesn't seem like we're a sex cult.
Oh god, I found them on Facebook.
The Greek Room. Hey guys. Hey, how you doing, Greek Room? So I reached out to Antonia L. D'Orsay of the Trans 100. He initially responded, "Wow, a church in which the gospel is aversion, anxiety, and animus towards trans people will likely appeal to a few folks, and have no doubt they'll recruit a good 100 or so members. Radicalization, no matter who does it, though, is never a positive thing." I 100% agree with that one.
Right.
I asked her to comment on whether the IRS should have granted the church recognition, and their response, no, which has nothing to do with being a trans. Instead, it has to do with the idea that this church is relying on a religious belief founded in secular materials, which are often explicitly hostile to a religion as a whole.
I mean, can they do that? Can they like kick men out just because that's their policy or whatever? Like,
Yes,
I've never heard of like a church like kicking out a gay person or a trans person.
Well, many churches have done that already.
They have?
Sure. In the last 50 years, churches have been very anti-gay.
Oh yeah, I know they're anti-gay. Like I've gone to sermons and heard them like, you know, talk about how being gay is an abomination. But then I've also gone to church with a gay guy and like nobody gave a fuck. So it's like really confusing to me.
Well, every church is different.
Yeah.
But there have been incidents where gay people have been asked to leave church.
Oh,
now,
okay.
The difference is then those churches can be blasted on the media and be like, I mean, Westboro Baptist Church is a prime example. They are definitely anti-gay. In fact, if anyone revealed to be gay within their ranks, you better believe that they would make a big deal about it and like, no, you can't be here. You have to leave. Someone get some muscle. Wait, no, muscle would be a bad thing. They might be turned on by that.
Muscles? I want some seafood.
No, I'm referring to Melissa, which is like, we need some muscle over here.
Yeah, I know.
So, but here's the kicker, is that there's a difference between being anti-gay and being anti-male. And as we talk about a lot on this show, it's perfectly acceptable to be anti-male. You just can't be anti-woman.
Uh-huh.
Which they're definitely right there on the border, because it goes being anti-woman is the worst thing you could possibly be. Then anti-LGBT, LGB, but mostly anti-lesbian. Then it goes to anti-trans. Then anti-disabled, anti-race, and it's like 20 things below, and then you have anti-male.
Mm-hmm.
So it's perfectly okay for them to kick out males to have a female-only space.
Yeah. Lovely. Jesus.
So, yeah. Now, what I'm waiting for is someone to basically sue this church.
Right.
It's discriminatory, but most likely what would happen is that they would use the Colorado case and say that, you know, it's okay for a religion to be discriminatory under religious freedom. And this is a slippery slope that, you know, we talk about a lot with this stuff. I mean, the whole Hobby Lobby thing I said was a slippery slope, which has nothing to do with this. But they said that, you know, they shouldn't have to pay taxes on birth control because it goes against the religious viewpoint. They shouldn't make that available. And the Supreme Court agreed. The Colorado cake, while I agree that a person shouldn't have to do something that they don't want to do because of their personal belief system. It would be the equivalent of a Jewish baker having to put a swastika on a cake. This is the fallout from that, that now a church can say that they can be discriminatory under the tenets of religious freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And if we say, well, no, they can't, then how do we decide that? How is it okay for one and not okay for the other?
Right.
I mean, this is quite literally having your cake and eating it too. And the pun is kind of intended there with the baker, but I mean, if it's okay for the baker, then it's okay for the church to do this. And if it's not okay for the church to do this, then it's not okay for the baker to do it.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so, and in my opinion, all this really is getting the federal government to recognize their political viewpoint, forcing it. The name is only in provocation to men and women who aren't lesbians or witches. Your judgments are not facts. Thanks for the article.
What the fuck?
That's how the church responded to this.
Men and women. What?
The name, the Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft, the name is only provocative to men and women who aren't lesbians or witches. Your judgments are not facts. Thanks for the article.
That's most people. But okay.
Yeah, like 99% of the world. Like 99.99999% of the world.
Right.
And I'm not being discriminatory there. I mean, it's literally true that the majority of people are straight.
Right.
I mean, think of it like this. Your parents had to be straight in order to have sex with each other for you to be created. Although I do think that people are more likely to be bisexual than they are to be straight or gay. Or no, more likely to be bisexual than to be gay, but more likely to be straight than anything else. See, I don't have a problem with pagan or Wiccan religions. I think they're perfectly fine to do what they want, and even if they tend to bring about bisexual or lesbian women, that's fine. But most of those that I've met that belong to Wiccan groups or pagan groups are not exclusionary of men, or at least not openly about it. Like I've heard about coven of witches who like to dance naked in the middle of the desert and do a prayer so the next year will be a good year, and then be convinced that somehow they're doing something. And you don't ever hear about men being there also naked. So it probably is done that it is exclusionary, but they're not public about it. These people are public about it.
No. So what did you say? It was recognized as a national religion, or?
Well, that the IRS gave them tax exemption status, which is
Okay.
only given to religions.
All right.
Or charitable organizations.
Okay.
And this is neither a religion or a charitable organization, but because they have that status, they can now say that they are recognized by the federal government as being a church.
Okay. Jesus.
Comments.
What did you say?
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next article, which I thought was a very funny article. No, actually, it's more of a very sad article. Raising a feminist in a gender world. So Dr. Pragya Agarwal. How do I feel when my daughters are obsessed with pink and purple with tutus and crowns?
Good.
Gender stereotypes are everywhere, from books, media, and toys to offhand innocent comments that people can make. These are imposed upon and ingrained in our children as they traverse the world around them. Did you ever think it maybe is the opposite way, that the reason why it's so ingrained in us is because there's natural instincts that we have as males and females?
Right. Exactly.
It's a minefield that we have to navigate through if we want to raise our girls and boys to be feminists. I love how that's written. Not if we want to raise girls and boys, girls, pause, and boys, pause, to be feminists. Because if this was to be written correctly, it wouldn't have a comma between girls and boys. Sorry, I know I'm nitpicking.
People don't.
But
Yeah, people don't care about that shit anymore.
yeah, so you already see where her bias is at.
Mm-hmm.
The gender bias starts as soon as a child is born. Pink is for girls and blue is for boys. Well, you know, the funny thing about that is that pink didn't used to be for girls. Back over 100 years ago, pink was considered a boy's color, and yellow was considered a girl's color. And then the 1960s, 70s, feminist groups took over the color pink and said that pink was a girl's color. They used it to recognize themselves as a girl's color.
Uh-huh.
And then I guess the world took that as well. And so it was then established that pink was for girls, blue was for boys. But somehow it worked. And I don't know, I kind of see that as an evolution of our culture.
Right.
We went from pink for boys to pink for girls, and girls stuck with it. And girls even say it's their favorite color, and boys seem to respond better with blue.
Yeah, or just other colors in general.
Girls are pretty and beautiful. Boys are clever and smart. I don't know where you're coming from, but when I was growing up, it was always stated that girls were smarter than boys.
Yeah.
Even as early as elementary school, I always there was always that indication that oh, well, girls are just smarter and clever and sweeter than boys, and boys are just rude, crude, and something. I forgot the saying.
Boys go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Like,
yeah, there's another one. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Boys are supposed to be leaders and be dynamic, while girls are not supposed to be bossy. Well, yeah,
Not
but
anymore.
boys aren't supposed to be bossy either.
Exactly. If a guy is arrogant, nobody's gonna deal with this shit. Like, unless someone is like, you know, well established, nobody's gonna deal with someone being rude. You know,
Yeah.
like there's a difference between confidence and being bossy, as they like to say. Like you can be confident and assertive without being a bitch.
Not according to feminists.
Yeah, I guess not.
Little boys are being brought up to conform to some notion of toxic masculinity where they can be little tearaways, while girls have to be polite and patient, well-behaved, and elegant. I hate to break it to you, lady, but it was always expected as a boy that I was mature. In fact, I had to basically be an adult at the age of 10. That I had to be super responsible, that I couldn't like anything that was childish, and that even when I was, 8 years old and I was given a toy and I broke the toy, I was severely punished for that, and my toy was taken away from me. So I don't know where this whole tearaways or tear-ups come from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hell, if anything, my parents were... I don't know if my parents necessarily taught me toxic masculinity, but it's like I remember when I was a kid, like when I was 8 or 9 years old, my favorite color was pink. Until my stepfather strongly encouraged me to change the color in a very mean way.
Mm-hmm.
So I switched to black. And they insisted that I watch football, and I wasn't really interested in watching football.
Oh, jeez.
Now, if my parents approached me in a way that was compelling to me, like, here's a book on football, read it, and you'll better understand the game. Their belief was if you watch the sport, then you would know everything about the sport. I didn't learn that way. But they couldn't understand because we have different personality sets.
Yeah, I've watched football a bunch of times, and I still don't understand what's going on.
I mean, I better understand it, but only because I later studied it and researched it and figured out a lot of what's going on. I don't watch it anymore because it's kind of hard for me, having gone through a concussion and seeing people's heads being hit constantly. But
yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into this article. So, as a mom of 3 girls, I'm very conscious of it. Growing up in India as one of 3 daughters in a culture that did not value women, I saw firsthand what is considered to be as the second sex. I grew up learning to fight for my corner, noticing biases and prejudice all around me. As one of only 7 women in a cohort of 40 studying architecture, I was told by fellow male students that the women were just taking up space from a man who needed it more because we will just get married and leave the profession. It hurt too because I had studied and worked as hard as anyone else to be there. Men were culturally conditioned to believe that their opinions mattered more. I don't blame men for thinking this way. When I was in the military, this was something I actually saw a lot, that women would get pregnant and leave the service. And that if women were just not interested in being in the service anymore, all they had to do was get pregnant and they would get a free pass to leave. As
My
men,
sister actually,
we didn't get that.
My sister actually got pregnant in the military.
And did she
Not my
leave?
younger sister, my older one. Yeah, she left.
I didn't know you had an older sister.
Well, technically I have 0 full siblings and like 9 half siblings.
Wow.
Yep.
Someone got busy.
Yep. My dad. He was impregnating all the bitches.
So, I mean, I can understand that, where men feel like, oh, well, you're just going to get pregnant and married and leave the profession. So why don't you just leave right now? I perfectly understand that. I think that's perfectly legitimate.
I mean, yeah, it's a harsh opinion, but it's a harsh truth.
Yeah, and she felt discrimination from that. How about you recognize that women do that, and all they've done is waste people's time, money. I mean,
and then prove it wrong.
What?
And then prove it wrong so that it's not all women. It doesn't have to. Just because they say it doesn't mean they think that all women do that or all women are like that or women need to be working.
It's still based on an element of fact.
Right.
Just because it doesn't apply to you doesn't mean that there isn't a foundation of reality.
Yeah.
That these women go into these programs for higher education only to get pregnant and marry and leave the profession, which is a waste of time for everyone else because that woman took a spot away from someone else. Whether it be male or female, they took a spot from someone else to be in that program only for them to leave being married and pregnant. I mean, it's not discriminatory if there's an element of truth in it, but in today's world, even truth is racist and sexist.
Always.
So, I became a gender rebel. I decorated my girls' nursery in yellow rather than pink or blue, buy them clothes from the boys' section, dress them in neutral colors and dungarees rather than pink dresses. I bought them trucks, blocks, and football, books about dinosaurs, planets, and birds. I also surrounded them with microscopes and abacuses,
Oh my
keen
God.
to instill a love of science and math as much as for arts and craft. I told them stories of rebel girls and ensure that they saw their dad did as much, if not more, of the housework, and it wasn't a male or female job to look after them. I run gender and sexism workshops in schools to encourage children to think and debate about gender bias and stereotypes.
Well, good for you, but I mean, that's not that weird. Like, I'd probably do that with my child. You know, I wouldn't just give them one gender toys. I'd give them whatever the fuck they want and
No.
make them learn about whatever they want.
This is much different than that. It's one thing to give them both genders. She didn't do that. She refused to give them anything girly.
Wait,
She
really?
had 3 daughters, and she raised them as boys. She only got them things for boys. She did not get anything that would be female
what would she
related.
do if she had a boy? What the fuck? That's just
Probably
fucking
give them
weird.
Dresses.
What the actual fuck? Okay, I take my statement back. She's very weird.
Well, I think this is child abuse.
I mean, that's just not fair. Like, why would you deny a child of something that they could potentially love? Like,
Because
you know,
that is conforming to gender, which is a cultural construct.
I mean, technically arts and crafts are seen as girly, so I don't like it's not very consistent. I don't understand it at all.
Well, she mentions arts and craft, but look at the things that she bought them. Trucks, blocks, football, books about dinosaurs, planets, birds, microscope, and abacus. And while I have no problem with girls having these things, these all scream boys.
Right.
These are the things that boys are interested in.
Yeah. I mean, I like science stuff when I was a kid, but I was different from every other girl in my class, basically.
So
every other girl liked, girly things, girly dresses. I was in between, but I'm still a feminine person as I grew up, so I don't know.
I want to address also the color of the nursery. Now, if I were to ever have a child, I'd probably do a lot of research on what color to paint. And, I found this website here, just doing a quick search about what color the room is for your nursery and what effect it has on children.
Mm-hmm.
So, like painting it yellow, as she did, which can stimulate memory and metabolism, so I guess make all your children fat, can also evoke feelings of anger and frustration, being fussy and overstimulated. So it's probably one of the worst colors to go with. Blue actually has a calming effect on people in general, but children, if they're in a blue room, they're going to be a lot calmer.
Nice.
Now, funny enough, she chose the color yellow arbitrarily. She's like, well, I don't want it to be pink or blue, so I'm going to choose yellow because that's a general neutral color. When in fact, her best color to choose in order for her children to not like pink things is actually pink. It says here that while little girls will like pink right away in their life, they can eventually become irritated over time, leading to agitation and anxiety. While your princess may love the rosy hue now, you should be prepared for her to reject it in the future. If this woman did any research at all, she would know that, according to this, and I haven't really looked into this, so I don't know if it's legitimate, but if she wanted her children to hate pink, she should have made the room pink.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how I was. I I really liked pink when I was little, and then I hated it, and then I liked it again, and now I still kind of like it, but only in like certain, only it depends, you know.
Ohio Dan, good to see you. We should grasp one of her workshops with anti-feminist arguments and see if we're escorted out by security. Okay, so we addressed the color. We addressed basically she raised boys. That she didn't want them to be anything related to girls at all.
Well,
So
maybe they'll be lesbians, and then they can go to the Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft.
Yes. But here's the other part I like. She talks about their dad doing as much, if not more, housework. So she basically neutered their dad, saying that he's basically a slave and that he was required to do more housework. I mean, it's one thing if he wanted to say, look, you know, there was always parity. There was always equality between men and women, that both the mother and father did things equally. But she's saying the father did more housework to show that men are slaves to women.
Pretty much.
So how do I feel when suddenly my girls want to wear that one pink t-shirt with glitter and unicorns that they received as a birthday present, carry a handbag around that they somehow acquired, and play putting their teddy bears to bed? How do I feel when my daughters are obsessed with pink and purple with tutus and crowns? I cringe. I despair. I feel guilty that perhaps I somehow given them a subliminal message of how to be a girl. I reassess and reevaluate my own actions, and perhaps I'm not doing enough to raise them as feminist girls.
This bitch needs to take a dick to the ass and chill the fuck out.
I mean, basically, her girls are rebelling against her, as children do, but they're showing, hey, we want to wear pink things. We want to have a unicorn. We want glitter. We want to carry around a bag.
Yeah.
They're making a conscious choice to do this because this is what girls like to do. Not all girls. There's exceptions, obviously, but for the most part, these activities are things girls like to do, and she is cringing, and she feels guilty that somehow she might be imposing this on her children rather than accepting that their children have agency and are capable of making the decision if they want to carry a purse around.
Right. Bitch fucked up.
This is where we have to be careful that in trying to educate our children to break gender boundaries and social norms, that we are not in some way imposing our own unconscious biases, choices, and ideas upon them so rigidly that it does not allow them any freedom to explore their own feelings and wishes. Bullshit! Bull fucking shit right there. They're showing their true feelings and their wishes, and you're rejecting it.
Yeah.
Your own bias is that you're against gender conformity. That you don't want girls wearing pink. You don't want girls to be feminine in any way. You want them to be boys. So when they start rejecting that, you think, oh, I must be doing something wrong. I must be imposing on them that they have to act this way. No, they're rejecting your viewpoint of what it means to be a girl, and they're expressing themselves. And, you know, this is the thing I hate about the left. Is like, we want the freedom of choice. No, you want the freedom to make the choice you want them to make. Yeah, you can choose anything you want as long as you choose the right thing.
Guess what? The Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft replied to me on Twitter. And I retweeted one of their things. I said, this place is now recognized as a federal church. Let's that sink in. And they retweeted it and said, this is a significant misstatement of the law. So basically, exactly like the other tweet, completely dismissing and like denying anything at all. Like, what? Oh, so you're not a church? Okay.
Did
If
you
you
not
say
get
so.
tax exemption status?
Right, exactly.
Or did
I
the
just said, sure.
IRS not a federal bureau of the government?
Right, exactly. Oh my god.
Which
People
part did
are
we
fucking stupid.
misunderstand here?
Yeah, please enlighten us. Oh, Jesus.
Well, at least they're active on social media.
Right? You should tweet at them. And see if they respond.
I got enough worries. It's important that we educate our children, both girls and boys, she said it properly this time, to think beyond gender biases. It is equally crucial that we allow them the freedom to explore their choices beyond these narrow parameters and boxes. Well, isn't it exploring beyond their parameters if they explore all avenues and not just outside of that? You're basically saying that it's only acceptable to explore outside of gender biases, but how can people truly understand what is good to do if they don't also understand what is bad to do?
Right, exactly.
As children grow older, they will be told what is right and wrong, how to think and how to feel. Our role as a parent is to help them be confident with their own instincts and their own judgments. As long as we can discuss with them the pros and cons of wanting to be a princess, of why colors do not represent a certain gender, or how they can express themselves without feeling the need to conform to what their peers say, we will instill resilience and strength that will help them stand up for what they believe in. Well, your children are doing that. They want to wear that pink thing. They want to wear that pink t-shirt with the unicorns and have a purse and put their teddy bear to bed, which I don't see why that's really a problem. But they're doing this and you're rejecting it and telling them that, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't do this. You don't have to do this as a girl. You should do something else. And you know what? Your children are going to resent you for it. They're going to look at it as you harping down on them, telling them what they can and cannot be. And I had this problem with my parents, you know, it was like all my life they were telling me what I could and could not be. I had my own stepfather tell me that I would never be a writer, that I was a horrible writer and I should give up on the dream. Well, guess what? I'm a writer. I'm an author. I've published. I didn't let that hold me back. I basically gave him the middle finger and did it anyways. And this is what's going to happen in your family. You know, and I joke that, when these children become adults, they'll probably never visit their mother, never call her up. But, you know, what she'll probably do is just say that it's the patriarchy that says that her daughter shouldn't love her, that her daughter shouldn't respect her, that it's the patriarchy's fault, rather than take responsibility that she basically demanded her children not be girls.
I mean, that's almost misogynist, don't you think? Oh.
Actually, I think it's misandrist. I think she has a deep-seated hatred for women. She hates anything that is women, but she blames it on the patriarchy for creating it, even though most women choose this for themselves.
Which website did you get that thing from about the Pussy Church?
It was a Forbes article.
Forbes? Okay.
You need the website?
I was gonna look it up. I found it.
I'll get that for you.
I found it.
What?
I found it.
Okay. Are we talking back to them?
What?
Are you responding back to them?
Yeah. I was just like, so you're saying you aren't exempt from taxes? Oh.
It is important for girls to know that being a feminist is about demanding and expecting equality. Being a feminist does not mean being non-feminine. Leaders can be pretty. Leaders can also be dressed in pink and tutus if they wish. Really? You kind of made it seem like they couldn't. Girls can choose to be princesses as long as they know that they can conquer worlds, take control of their destinies, and do not have to wait to be rescued.
Oh my god.
Raising a feminist is about giving them choices. No, it's about giving them the choice that you want them to have. You can choose anything you want so long as it's the choice I already made for you. It's about giving them the freedom to be themselves. Wrong again. You've already established that you don't agree with that. As long as our children see role models in front of them and we are actively discussing with them any instances of gender stereotyping, they are allowed to be princesses or pirates. Not if you cringe at them wearing a pink shirt and think that you've imposed something on them, rather than accept that they have the agency. I mean, this is the group that says that, you know, if a 4-year-old boy says they want to be a girl, then we should switch their gender because a child at that age can determine their sexuality. But if a girl at 8 years old wants to wear a pink shirt, she can't make that decision, and that it's being imposed upon her by the world around her. So they could make a choice on whether or not they're the wrong gender, but they cannot make a choice about anything that's stereotypical about their gender. And this is my problem with feminism, is it's highly inconsistent.
Right, exactly. So fucking stupid.
So we're going to stop there. Let's see this tweet about Modern Medusa. Okay. Actually, I'll share this on here.
Oh, that's too funny.
Oh, I got a message. Okay, so let us see. That's so unfair. She has so many more followers than me. Tweets. Oh, Lord. All right, so where did it start? I guess here. This place is now recognized as a federal church. Let that sink in. And referencing our video. Maybe they'll stop by and visit.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see. Medusa looks like she's been losing weight.
Wait,
Yes,
wait.
it's the
Who said that?
Ohio Dan in our chat. He says
Oh.
she's losing weight.
Well, thanks. I actually have been, so thank you. Oh.
Yes, there's now less of her to love.
Yep. Still
This-
enough boobs.
This is a significant misunderstatement of law. Well, to be fair, they are correct. They're not a federal church. It's just that they have tax exempt status, but that's really splitting hairs.
I mean, that's just what you said, so that's what I typed. You know, who cares how I said it? That's what I said a couple things later. I was like, I'm not here to argue like how I said something. It's you're exempt from taxes. Like you're a church. Okay. That's what I meant.
That's really splitting pussy hairs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're saying you aren't exempt from taxes? Fresh Prince Bel Air, that's awesome.
Right.
And their response, there is no such thing as a federal church. Please consult the First Amendment. You are a
So they
church
just
recognized by the federal government. I'm not here to argue about my choice of words. You're a church.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, that's what feminists do. They just ignore the fucking fact that that what they're representing is completely stupid, and just point out your choice of words or your grammar or something like that, and are like, well, this you're wrong about this and this and this and this, and completely ignoring the actual issue.
I mean, if they said, well, look, there's no such thing as a federal church. What we actually are is we have tax-exempt status, but, you know, we're not officially recognized as a church. We just have a special tax benefit. That would have been one thing. Instead, it's like, well, you need to read the First Amendment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Jesus.
Broken liberal YouTuber. Can we finally make it official now? Feminist religion? Probably not, because these are TERFs. And most feminism these days, at least I'll give intersectional feminism this, that they're not transphobic.
Oh, jeez.
All churches are exempt from taxes. Does not make churches federal churches. Good luck understanding how laws work. Again, they're griping on you with the words you use. Fine, okay, you use the wrong terminology, but they are officially recognized by the federal government as a church because they have tax-exempt status.
Exactly.
Now,
it's not that hard.
The correct federal churches is kind of like an ironic term, because there's a separation of church and state, which is not in the Constitution, but it's been accepted.
I don't know how they fucking say it.
So it's just that they're officially recognized by the government, but they're not a federal church.
I don't even know what that would mean, honestly. Not like it fucking matters.
Yeah, again, you're right on what they're doing. They're only focusing on just your words and not really the spirit of what you're saying. They're like, and you know, me, I can understand to a point what they're saying. It's like, look, you know, we're not a federal church. I want to make sure that people understand who and what they are. And that is responsible of them. But then they're like, read your First Amendment. And it's like, okay, dude, come on. You don't have to be like that. Obviously, Vanessa misquoted, stated it in the wrong way. But you can kind of see what she's trying to say.
Yeah, they know.
You know, if you want to correct her on, oh, okay, well, it's not a federal church, but it is a church with tax-exempt status. Okay.
Well, exactly. So someone just tweeted at me and said, the church is right, calling the church a federal church is inaccurate, saying it's tax-exempt is more accurate. I said, that's fine. I can admit I'm wrong, but there's no point in nitpicking my words when I'm drinking and streaming and tweeting at the same time. They know what I meant. Oh. That's all I'm saying. Like, you know, I mean, you can nitpick, or, you know, you can pick up my words, you know, how I say it all you want, but you're still called the pussy church of modern witchcraft. And that's enough to just laugh at. Sorry.
It is. It's perfectly good to laugh at that. Because, I mean, imagine if we had the male equivalent, like cock worshipping of modern broness.
Satanism. Okay.
Satan's cock.
Yes. Oh my God.
I mean, it's like Satanism in that way, that you named it something that you know would get people pissed off. Satanists only chose the name Satan because they knew it would piss off Christians, which has nothing to do with Satan at all. And they chose their name pussy church of modern witchcraft, basically to piss people off. And if anyone has a problem with it, you could then say, well, you just hate women.
Right.
Well, I don't hate women because I have a woman on my stream, and she has an equal say in pretty much everything we do. So I must really be bad at hating women if I give women so much freedom.
Right? Free the nips.
I wish. I've spent nights dreaming of Medusa's nips.
Oh my god.
I've never seen them. I've always wanted to.
Oh my god.
Oh shit, was that out loud?
Not on YouTube, unfortunately. They're very misogynist. They don't allow female nipples.
I find these two articles interesting because now we're getting feminists, and these are TERFs, but they're still feminists, getting basically getting backing by the federal government of their opinions. That's all this is. This is a political group, and I hope they're on the up and up. I hope we don't hear like 10 years down the line that they engaged in pedophilia. I hope that, and I'm sorry, that is a little unfair of me to say, but they are basically stating that sexuality and gender is the key tenets of this religion. They have to both be a lesbian and to have any power within the church, which means that they will strongly encourage women within their group to become lesbians. And it's like little girls are going to be exposed to that. And fine, you can encourage girls to be lesbians, but just don't do anything that, violates them. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. Don't violate those little girls. Let them come to their own decisions on that. Don't rape them.
Yeah, that's legit.
Well, I'm not even joking about that. I know it sounds silly, but I'm being serious because that's my concern right there. I mean, the members have to prove that they're lesbians. How do they prove that they're lesbians unless they have sex with members?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
So, I mean, but I'm not ever going to recognize this as a religion because, well, it's just a political opinion. You're against transgenders. You seem to be against straight women, that straight women cannot be in your top echelons of your little society, that you have to be a lesbian woman.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I barely recognize Christianity as a religion, but at least I give props to Christianity on a lot of things that they do.
These people, they responded to the guy who said that they were right and was like, "Thank you, have a good evening." And so I'm saying, so you want a white male to have a good evening, but not me?
Let me go check this out. That's fine. I can admit when I'm wrong, but there's no point in nitpicking my words when I'm drinking and streaming and tweeting at the same time. They know.
I haven't made the most recent tweet.
They knew what I was saying. Feminists love to beat around the bush. Giggity. Oh. So, but it's also about the other woman as well, about raising her daughters in a feminist world, basically by denying them agency and denying them the right to make a choice for themselves unless they make the choice you want them to make. And that's all what it really comes down to, is you don't want them to be princesses. You don't want them to wear tutus or like purple or, you know, paint their rooms pink or blue because you're afraid that it might expose them to a gender bias. And look, all of us have biases. And the best thing we can do is try to be aware of what biases we have. So when we're making a decision, be like, well, wait a minute, am I making this decision because of this bias? Or is it a honest to God decision that I'm making? You don't overcome biases by denying that you have any or preventing yourself from getting any. I mean, even if these girls grow up the way you want them to, they're going to have a bias that anything that is considered girly is immediately sexist. That's a bias.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, when you try to force your children to do something they don't want to do, they're going to resent you for it. You know, I mean, I love my parents, but I resent the fact that they tried to control my personality as a child, that I wasn't allowed to like the color pink because pink is a girly color, that I had to watch football just so I could get friends at school, even though no one at school ever talked about sports. Maybe they never talked to me about sports, but no, not one of my friends ever talked about sports. I could care less, but I was forced to watch football.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I hate that they did that to me. I hate that they didn't try to get me to learn the best way that works for me. You know, my stepfather once tried to teach me how to play golf. His approach was, watch me do it, now you do it. Of course, I mess up, and it's like, no, you're not watching me. Does it again. I mess up. And he's like, why aren't you paying attention to me? Why aren't you listening to what I'm doing? And he was just berating me, even though I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. You know, my family had this belief that if you watch something, then you understand it. Well, that's not how I learn. Some people can learn that way. Not everyone can. And, you know, I'm most pissed off at my family because they never tried to understand who I was.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I was still given a little bit more freedom in picking who and what I was versus this woman who's basically saying that her girls cannot be anything that is female. That they have the freedom of choice so long as they choose things that are anti-female.
Mm-hmm. Seems like feminists are becoming more anti-female every day.
You know, something I was listening, I don't know if it was Joe Rogan or Steven Crowder, but it was like, you know, part of being tolerant of other people is accepting intolerance. And if you can't accept intolerant people, then you yourself are not a tolerant person.
Right. I mean, I accept that the pussy church exists. I think it's hilarious that it exists. And I think it's funny. I don't know. I just think it's funny that they were approved because it, like I mean, I could even see like a witchcraft, you know, or a Wiccan church being erected and, you know, having those requirements or whatever. But like, I don't know, just the name, the implications, all of it just sounds really sketchy to me.
You said it right.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, the pussy church, and that your trustees can have to be lesbians. The ability to vote, you have to be a lesbian. Oh, they accept all women, but to be in a position of power. This actually reminds me, there was a college in New York. It was an all-female school, and they allowed a transgender girl, meaning born as a male, transitioning into a girl, to come to their school. But this same person wanted to run for student council and become president of the school or a club or whatever, and they said no because they don't want a penis on the council.
Oh my God.
So it was okay for a transgender girl to go to the college, but it wasn't okay for them to be in a student body. Which sounds really dirty when you say they didn't want a penis in a student body.
Sorry.
I don't know why I've never made that joke before.
That's fucking awesome. Oh, you should look at my most recent tweet.
Let's see if I still have it up. Oh, I don't think. Okay, so we'll do a screen share real quick.
Okay, someone else just tweeted me and it's fucking hilarious. Oh my God.
Okay, so you want a white male to have a good night, but not me? How misogynist of you. I admit I was wrong, but I'm still being discriminated against. Cries while watching lesbian porn.
All right, hang on. I'm about to send another tweet. This person is obviously... Oh, God. Oh, God.
What?
I have gotten into some shit right here. Just look at my most recent tweet. Oh, my God.
Stop playing a moron. Is alcohol supposed to absolve you of ignorance and misogyny? Stop at I can admit I'm wrong and leave out the but followed by sniveling excuses. Try adulting, son.
Did you just assume my gender?
You should say that.
I'm about to say no.
Bahaha. I'm misogynist because I think it's funny that a church called Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft exists.
I mean, what else would it be for? Like, I'm a misogynist because I don't support it. Like, what? How did they get that?
You're a misogynist because you use the wrong terminology.
Oh no, I fucked up. Oh.
That is hilarious.
Just said, did you just assume my gender?
Politely atheist? What did politely atheist have to say on this subject?
He was the one that was saying that they were right, but I was like, yeah, okay, but whatever, you know?
Well, you know, it's good people are talking about this. I mean, look, if they are legitimately about witchcraft and that is what their focus is, kudos to them. Honestly, kudos to them that they got tax exempt status if they're a legitimate pagan religion.
Hey,
however,
if nothing creepy is going on, then you know, go for it. I guess be discriminative all you want.
But you know, if this is nothing but political discord that only women can join, and that you're trying to keep trans out, and you know, being anti-male, which is basically the message you're sending, then no, I don't think you should get tax exempt status. And I think the only reason why you did is because the world is so afraid of being told that they're a misogynist, that they're sexist, that they're, you know, anything discriminatory. So the IRS felt pressure to approve you because they didn't want to be seen as being anti-LGBT.
That's also my point. Like, I didn't say it, but that's what I was trying to point out in my just by saying, you know, this exists. Oh.
Oh, it's still looking at me. I do like this. I think the name's funny. Just like if someone called their place of worship the Manly Temple of Dicks.
Exactly.
Hilarious. It's idiotic and juvenile.
Oh, jeez. I mean, well, no, idiotic and juvenile would be calling it like fucking like I don't know. There's not really any like childish words for like vagina. So I guess pussy would be the correct thing. But to me, pussy is like something that I wouldn't even say when I was a kid. I would like fucking like I didn't start saying that until I was probably like 16, 17, and like that word was like a bad word, like almost close to cunt. Like they might as well call it cunt church of modern worship. They should have. I mean, not, of course, they probably say that it's misogynist to say that pussy is a offensive word, but it is. It's a swear word considering other words like ass and fuck and yeah. I mean, well, not penis. Yeah, I mean, it is considered a curse word. Yeah, as a kid, but then as a medical term, no. But like, you know, like dick or cock or, you know, stuff like that too are like bad words. But I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Let's put it this way: if you would get yelled at by a woman if you said to her son any of these words, it's a bad word. I mean, as adults, we can say it to each other, and that's fine. We're mature enough to be able to do that, but we still have to recognize it as being bad language is if this is not something we can say to a child.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's funny.
You should tweet the Blair White about this.
I wonder what she would think about it.
Blair White.
Yes.
And then Vanessa, have you heard about the Pussy Church? Is it Pussy Church?
I don't remember.
Let me look it up. Pussy_church. Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft. Have you heard about the Modern Church of Modern Witchcraft? Because technically Blair White wouldn't be accepted because she wasn't born a female, even though if I remember correctly, she has gone through the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me, before I do so, put a dot right there. There we go.
Look at the most recent one that this person sent me.
So, no, you're a misogynist for attacking women and their right to gather in spaces free of men. Drunk fool. You were wrong. Quick sniveling, son. I didn't realize I had any weapons. Nice hashtag, son.
I'm like, when I hear attack.
I'm not even attacking women.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I literally just said, this exists. That's an attack on women. Ah!
Well, because you're not giving them praises. It's like, oh, Pussy Church, let me lick your clit. Oh, Pussy Church, let me drink your juices.
Oh my god. Oh, Pussy Church. Oh, pussy. Oh my god, I'm just gonna make a video of me like praising the pussy church. Like, oh, vagina. Oh my god. Fuck, I have to now. Holy shit.
A church of magical twats.
Oh my god.
Ohio Dan.
That's the funny thing though. I probably couldn't even make a video with that in the title and have it be on YouTube. They would take it down. But then again, they probably have a YouTube channel and they probably upload videos and they probably don't get any shit for it. I'm not assuming. I'm just saying if they do have a YouTube channel, I doubt that they have to censor it because of just them being them, but because of my channel and its content, they would take it down almost immediately because of the word pussy in it. Oh my god. Someone said that the person that's responding, it seems like a Poe.
Do you suppose that their secret handshake is by grabbing them by the pussy?
I hope so. Oh my god.
Oh, I'm going to hell. I'm going to the special hell.
Oh my god, this person's funny.
Seems more than an alcohol issue. Cognitive disorder, ASD. What the hell is ASD?
I don't even know. I'm just saying you sure like that word, meaning sniveling. I only have one beer every few days, not that it fucking matters.
I think he's just trying to continue on, trying to create controversy with you so you'll keep responding, so... I don't think that person...
That's fine.
They're just a fucking troll, you know?
I know.
Because they're basically saying that you just mentioning anything about it is indication that you hate women. It was like when I talked to those porn stars, or I use that term loosely because I don't think they're really in porn. They just are sex workers, like they do cam shows, which I'm not against, but you know, I was saying that, you know, there are harder things in life to do than doing porn. However, porn can often be an easier choice for someone versus other avenues in life, like going to college. College is a very hard thing to do. Yeah. But by no means was I saying that porn was easy to do, but they just kept attacking me on that point that they're like, well, this is what you think. Well, this is what you're implying. Well, now you're just back. And then they look at my profile and it's like, oh, you're a men's rights activist. That explains it. And it's like, you look at my profile, what it says is gamer, disabled, men's rights, author, angry egalitarian. Nowhere does it says I'm a men's rights advocate. I'm not an MRA. I'm an egalitarian. I just support men's rights more than I do women's rights because women pretty much have all of the rights. Yeah. Men need our attention right now in order to create equality. But they basically like, oh, well, you're just a men's rights activist. That explains everything. Like, my opinion just doesn't matter because I'm an MRA. And that's what this person is basically doing to you. Well, nothing you say matters because you just hate women. You're a misogynist. And probably even think that you're a Poe, that you are not even a woman. Because if you're a woman...
Who knows if they're a woman or not?
Yeah.
I can't even tell if they're a man or a woman from their picture, or trans or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's something wrong with being an asshole.
Oh my god, why does Barack Obama appear on my timeline?
Is it sponsored or promoted content?
No, it's talking about Bobby Kennedy. But someone retweeted it. It's not anything bad, but, you know, it's just like, Of all the things, I mean, I see Trump appear a lot in there, even though I don't follow him. But it's like
Really?
kind of
People retweet it.
to have Obama. Now I just need George W. Bush. But then again, I don't know if he knows how to use Twitter.
True. Oh my god.
All right, so we've kind of gone past the point that we normally do, only because we've just been having.
That's the point of no return. Yeah, it's been fun. I didn't expect them to reply. Oh, you know what? I wonder if they blocked me now. Let me see.
Oh, that'd be good to find out. Let me find out if they blocked me.
It's not my fucking internet's being a gay right now. Sorry, that was not meant to be homophobic. Just for the record. Oh. There, pussy.
Nope, they have not blocked me yet. But, you know, if they are serious about being legitimate.
Okay, they haven't blocked me either. That's good.
Okay,
that's good.
Kudos to them, you know.
Yeah. You know, not a typical feminist thing to do. At least they're, you know, somewhat, at least they're somewhat punctual and not like, you know, really bad at communicating. You're not so good at communicating, but grammatically they're okay at communicating. Oh.
What's funny is their logo. All I can think is, this is your vagina. This is your vagina when it's being torn apart.
Oh God.
Any questions?
God, like who designed that shit? Like, ugh. To me, it just looks like a weird, mushy alien.
Who designed pussy hats, or pussy purses, or pussy cupcakes to give to children.
Kill me. God damn. I hate people. Well, I love people, but I hate people. It's like it's okay. It's okay they exist. I accept it, but God damn. You know, I wish everybody could be like chill and just not exclude others in a like dickish way. I don't know how else to say it. Like, you know what I mean.
Jordan Richard is asking what we're talking about. I guess he just got here. Or sorry for assuming your gender if you're not a dude. But what we're talking about is the Pussy Church of Modern Witchcraft. And no, this isn't a Poe. This is a real thing. Getting tax exemption status.
Yep, it exists. And the fact that I pointed out that it exists is apparently misogynist.
Well, they wanted to remain a secret society, and you just ruined it, Vanessa.
Fuck! I have way more followers than them, so it's okay. I'm just kidding. I don't give a shit about that. It is funny, though.
Well, you know what? Here's my thing. You know, I support the First Amendment. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech. And they have a right to be in an organization. Okay?
Yeah.
They can have a woman's only space. I'm not really bothered by that. I'm only bothered because men cannot have their only space as it's deemed sexist. But, you know, if we could have men only spaces, I'm perfectly happy to have female only spaces. If you wanted to be only for lesbians, I'm okay with that as well. My only problem is if we had a space that was only for straights, it would be seen as homophobic.
Right.
And even if this was a political group, that's also fine. You're perfectly happy to do. I mean, I'm perfectly okay with you doing that. The problem I have is that you're being treated as a religion, that you're getting tax exempt status. And the federal government basically states that you cannot discriminate based on race, sex, color, creed, or anything like that. Now, that comes into question with the whole gay baker sort of thing, because they're technically a business, but they use religious freedom to say that they're not comfortable putting gay sex on a wedding cake or making a cake for a ceremony they don't agree with. And we deemed it that that's okay to do. But really the spirit of that is performing a service. But it's a very tough thing, but you know, it's a slippery slope. And I don't think that a church should be catering to only a certain demographic of saying that, well, if you're not a female, if you're not born female and you're not a lesbian, then you're not really allowed in our church. And that's an over exaggeration. I mean, clearly they allow women. It's just you have to be a lesbian and prove you're a lesbian in order to be in a position of leadership within the church. And that I'm against. I mean, if you wanted, and it's the fact that you're getting federal permission for tax exemption. If you wanted to have your own group outside the federal government that did that, I couldn't do anything about that. The fact that you're getting federal aid now means that I can start my own religion called No Ma'am. That's only for men. Women are not allowed, and you have to be straight. And because you did it, I should be able to do it as well. Only no one will see it that way. People will only see it as I'm a misogynist. I hate women. I hate trans. That's all it'll ever be seen as. But when you do it, it's going to be seen as empowerment for women.
Yeah, that's wrong,
and,
in my opinion.
You know, if you don't want, and if you truly cared about equality, then you would support a men's group doing the same exact thing you are.
Right. You should ask him.
So that's going to do it for us today. I mean, we're having a lot of fun, but we do need to go on and live our lives. I mean, I've got videos to record. I'm trying to get my course up on Udemy right now, so I'm recording videos for that. But let's go ahead and wrap up our show. As always, you can look at my comment box down below. You'll find a link to Modern Medusa's channel. You'll find links to my Twitter accounts. Also, my Patreon. While I am doing online courses, while I now have the capability of doing that, and now my room is almost 200% brighter than it was a few days ago, which really helps with video editing. You know, I can still use a little bit of help here and there. The donations that I receive help out immensely. So, I mean, even though it's a small amount, to me, it's like $1,000 basically. So it helps out a lot. But what I'm wanting to do is I want to get health insurance so I can start seeing a doctor to try to get a handle on my condition. I mean, there's no cure, but there should be something that I can do so I can be more productive. Maybe even get a part-time job if, you know, until this teaching thing really picks up. So check out my Patreon down below. Consider throwing me a few dollars and helping me towards the goal of getting insurance, which is like a monthly cost of like $100 and then a copay $100 a month for going to see doctors. Not that the copay is $100, but I probably see a lot of doctors all the time. If you're not comfortable doing that, consider donating to my PayPal. Just give me a direct donation. Those also are very helpful. Or buy my book, How to Destroy a Woman Now, which is a Poe. Am I using that correctly? But it's basically a parody of another book, How to Destroy a Man Now, except for the fact that, you know, mine doesn't contain anything illegal.
Right?
But it's only $2.99. And lastly, PayPal for support these ladies for the calendar. We're still selling these. And we still have a lot in stock. And, you know, when you donate to this, you're also donating a portion of your proceeds to a military Oh God, my brain just went. You're donating to a military charity. Part of our proceeds go to that, and we're hoping that we can try to sell all of these calendars so we can give more to them. Because we're already set up to do a 2020 calendar. A 2020 calendar will be done, but we want to sell these so we can give more to charity. So help us out with that. It's vets mentoring vets. When vets come out of the military, they don't have any real life job skills. So this group mentors them in real life job skills so they can be more productive and not end up homeless. Mm-hmm. So it's a very good charity.
Yes. Can I mention one more thing that someone tweeted at me?
Sure.
Broken-hearted liberal YouTuber, the one that I guess sent a screen cap before. He said he tweeted at the Pussy Church and said, "I accept that I identify as female. Hashtag transphobe." And then he tweeted at me and was like, "Well, that shut them up." Oh. Yeah, when I said cries and watches lesbian porn, that's when they stopped responding.
Well, and to be fair, maybe they're busy doing something else, like having lesbian sex. I mean, when it's time to have sex, you just drop everything else and go and have sex. I mean, or maybe they're pussies. And I meant that in the derogatory term of being cowards.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you want to show yourself off?
Sure. I do art and stuff that you can buy. Or you can look at all my art at facebook.com/Vanessa's Custom Art, and I also have a Modern Medusa page on there as well, and the Lovely Ladies page. But if you want to follow me on Twitter at Vanessa W Cheese, I got post lots of stuff on there, and then I'm also on Instagram at Lahoozaher, and you can subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/Modern Medusa, for rewards and stuff that supports my art videos, modeling, stuff like that, and you also get cool rewards like gifs and stuff. And you could also donate to my paypal.me/Medusa's Gorgons. And yeah, if you want any other links, just go to my go to either my YouTube channel in my videos or go to my Twitter and you'll find all my links. Yeah. And buy calendars.
All right, so we thank everyone for coming out. The Greek Room, Ohio Dan, Jordan Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
We're still trying to figure out a good time for us to do these. Modern Medusa recently got a new job, so we kind of do this at 8. Maybe we'll start doing it at 8. We'll see what the schedule does for us, but we're still trying to figure out what we're going to be doing. Hopefully by the end of summer, we'll be all organized. So,
yes.
So anyways, I am Dix.
And I'm Boobs. Yeah.
Good night.
Please.
And happy fucking.
Yeah.